Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell us who you are and tell us about your research?
Yes, sure. So I'm Boris Baldassari. I work for Castalia Solutions and I'm involved in the CROSSMINER projects.
Okay, so what's CROSSMINER?
CROSSMINER is a European funded research project which is all about helping people manage their software developments, so which means that developers can benefit from it, managers, and even the end users.
Benefit how?
So what we do actually is that we study the history of software development projects, and we try to identify patterns, things that work, things that don't work, and then we build a knowledge base from that, and we provide insights on the projects, quality assessment, and so on. And we also provide a lot of recommendations about everything about the projects, which includes code recommendations, how to manage the community correctly, the process, dependency management, and so on.
When you talk about things that you're working with, what kind of aspects of the project specifically are you looking at?
Well, a couple of good examples are the dependency management. Say that in your project you are using a lot of dependencies, of course, and you cannot track all of them. And say that at some point one of the dependencies you rely on is not maintained anymore or is in a very bad shape, no activity, no bug correction or whatever. So then CROSSMINER would tell you that this dependency might be a problem for you and will provide you with alternatives. So dependency that provide the same set of features with a closed interface, so you do not have to refactor everything on your code. And CROSSMINER will even propose you some refactoring techniques to switch to these dependencies. So that's one of the examples.
What sources of information do you use to make those kinds of determinations?
Well, that's where CROSSMINER is really a new thing, because we really target a lot of different data sources. So that includes tools that are used during the software developments, like configuration management, issue tracking, continuous integration, mailing lists, forums. We also do a lot of text processing, NLP processing. So we analyze the comments on the issues, the mailing list, the body of the emails, Stack Overflow questions, and things like that. So that's something really specific to CROSSMINER, to have such a wide range of data inputs. And I think that's about all. We also have news websites like Hacker News and things like that.
You collect a lot of data. How is that data used to determine how to make recommendations to a project team?
Well, that's where the research part gets in.
Yes.
So basically we try to identify patterns, we do sentiment analysis, things like that. And there are a lot of new research technologies that are tested and applied to these data sets. So there are deep learning techniques, there are a lot of new things regarding NLP, natural language processing techniques. And a lot of IE and things like that.
Interesting. So you've actually driven a lot of the work that we at the Eclipse Foundation are doing with some of our APIs and exposing some of our data. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. So the role of the Eclipse Foundation within the CROSSMINER project is manifold. First, we want to help disseminate the results, both for the Eclipse community, the research community, and the world around, because it's public money, so we want to disseminate that. We want to make sure that the project lives after the end of the funding. And the third thing for the Eclipse Foundation is to provide data, real-world data to the parsers and the miners of the project. So we worked with the Eclipse Foundation to get the data from all aspects of the software development project. Some of them we already have through the tools, with the APIs and so on, and some we needed to have some development from the Eclipse Foundation side. So the Christopher Guindon worked with us and developed some APIs specific to the Eclipse Foundation to access data about the users, about the forums, and so on. So that is working really well. And now we have the API available, and it's all documented. And of course, it's available for everyone, not only CROSSMINER.
Sure. Now, CrossMINER has a project at the Eclipse Foundation as well.
Yes, yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So, as I said before, one of the goals of the Eclipse Foundation within the CrossMINER project is to make sure that the project lives after the end of the research project. So, what we want to do is make sure that the CrossMINER product can still be useful and is indeed still used after the end of the project. So, we wanted to build an Eclipse project about that. We have started the creation process. The project is already created. We still have not yet done our first initial contribution, but it should happen in the upcoming weeks or months quickly. And so the goal here is to build a community around it and make sure that people can really use it and get benefits from that.
So are there any Eclipse projects that you're thinking of in particular that might benefit from using the products of this work?
Well, all of them actually. Every software project can benefit from Scava. That's the name of the CrossMINER project we are creating, Eclipse Scava. And actually, as soon as you have tools that you use for the development of your software products, configuration management, Bugzilla, whatever, then we have connectors for this. So every type of software development can benefit from CrossMINER. Of course, we have specific connectors, specific or not specific connectors for the Eclipse Forge. And every Eclipse project can really easily benefit from the CrossMINER analysis and results. But not only, so we can analyze GitHub projects, Apache projects, OW2 projects, or whatever projects. Even if it's self-hosted, we can connect to the quite huge range of tools. So that's quite easy to do, especially through. As for the deployment, we are building Docker images, so it's quite easy to set up a new CrossMINER instance, to connect it to your tools, and to benefits from the CrossMINER project.
So is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about your work?
Yes. CrossMINER is a bit about making a product, and it's a bit about doing research. So we have gathered a lot of data, and some of the researchers that are working with us have studied this data and have written reports about it. So some examples of reports are the practices in the OSGI implementation of the project and so on, which is, in my opinion, really useful for people to get insight about how people do, how people build their project, how people use OSGI, the good and not so good practices that we can detect in the code. So there are a few research papers and talks that are going to be published soon in the Eclipse conferences and the ECE notably, which are quite interesting for people, developers or even end users of the Eclipse Forge. So soon we'll talk about this and publish some papers toward the Eclipse community that are really useful, in my opinion.
Well, excellent. This sounds really interesting, and I look forward to seeing the project and, of course, the products of the project. Thank you for speaking with us today. And
thank you.